All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming and joining us today. Um, as we get started up, please don't forget to connect to Slido using our lovely QR code here or going to the website and signing up with the ID number. Please enter in a unique username for yourself, and all partners and leaders, please put DQ at the end of your name so that we can tell you apart later on. Um, oh, apologies. So what we have here before we kick things off on our lovely event today is we have a little icebreaker for you. So while you go in there, let's provide some updates on what we think our best time tracking, our best tool helps. We're currently seeing a tie. Nobody likes time tracking. Why am I not surprised by this?
Yeah. It's what's more useful, not necessarily what you like doing.
True. The charts and reports. Hmm, that is interesting.
It looks like we only have 16, 17.
Yep, we have 17 people in here so far. People are still coming in, still getting that Slido up and going. So, as I said, if you are joining the Slido still right now and you are a one of our sponsors, please add DQ at the end of your name. Um,
And if you're having any troubles with logging in, please let us know.
yes, please let us know in the chat and somebody will help you out. All right. Um, should we give it another moment or two there, Brendan, or should we go ahead?
Well, I think we've got a clear winner there
Oh
in
yeah.
chart reports. So again, we will have this is the last sort of question that's just not for points as part of the quiz. So
No, no,
encourage
definitely
you, if you
not part of the
haven't signed
quiz.
up for Slido yet, I encourage you to do so.
Yes, exactly. So happy AppsGiving, everybody. I know we're just a little late after Thanksgiving, but it's still within the same week, so I think we're good to go with our lovely theme of all the apps that we can be thankful for. We want to give a quick shout out. This is actually our list of Canadian leaders at the moment. If your chapter is up here, great, or the chapter closest to you. I know there's some of you that are just outside of Toronto Center and in the GTA area. Same with Vancouver. So we do have here our list of leaders that are helping us out today on the call. Um, and since I can't update the chat myself, I will indicate that yes, I am from Winnipeg, and we are starting to get winter already, which I will not enjoy. I do want to give a quick shout out, and thank you to our sponsors for today's event. We have these five lovely organizations that are sponsoring today, and you know, thank you. We greatly appreciate it. Now, first up, we have Anya from Adaptivist, who will be presenting us her talk on enhancing content formatting using the insights from her a UX designer on addressing the different market needs. Um, Anya, if you would like to go ahead and take over.
Thank you, Heather. Let me share my screen.
Of course.
Can you guys see okay?
Yep.
Yep. Perfect. I changed the name of presentation slightly, same idea. Happy AppsGiving, everyone. My name is Anya Poluyanova. I am a user experience designer at Adaptivist, and I currently work on a product that's called Content Formatting Macros for Confluence, We have a cloud and a DC version. Before we dig into this presentation, a couple of words. This is my first time giving a talk at ACE event, so I'm slightly scared, but it's okay. You seem like a lovely bunch. It's all good. And second, just my view on what the role of design is and a designer in any organization. I think at its core, design is a powerful method of problem solving, whether it's crafting an architectural blueprint, developing a brochure, or in our instance, creating an Atlassian app. Design is all about addressing user needs with some sort of design and a solution. And a designer is an advocate for a user in business decision making. So I would like us to look at this presentation from this prism today. Today I'll show you how examining Confluence users' behavior and understanding their mental models led my team to design a completely new interaction method, boosting product adoption, usage, and adding a ton of value to our users. Let's get started. Okay, so today, agenda is firstly, I'll guide you through some theory about user-centric approach in product development and how our team embraces it. Then we'll explore some key pain points in content creation in Confluence. And finally, we'll discuss the solution we designed in our team to eliminate those pains, and hence the app presentation and a little demo. Okay, so before this presentation, I asked ChatGPT what can help me make the presentation more engaging. And it recommended me using some very impactful quotes. So here is one. Companies that embrace user-centric design outperform S&P 500 by 219% over a 10-year period. The source is Design Management Institute, and the study was sponsored by Microsoft. So let's agree we believe this statistic. And at Adaptivist, we believe that true innovation happens when we can detach ourselves from our beliefs and our product and shift the focus on the user and then let the true magic happen. So how do we do it in Content Formatting Macros team? The first step in user-centric design is understanding users and our prospects. This important part here is that it's not a one-time task. It's not like one and done and forget about it. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing effort that involves multidisciplinary teams. But at the end, it allows, or like, no, there's no end. Continuously, it allows us to develop hypotheses over time and build it over time with different data points. So how do we do it exactly? Firstly, we'll leverage open search platform for data ingestion, analysis, and visualization, which allows us to identify trends and pain points identify trends and pinpoint product areas that may need improvement. We also use Atlassian marketplace data and Atlassian community data for kind of the same problem to find the trends. After this is done, and we see kind of the areas that need improvement, or we see a market need, we then go into a deeper investigation with different research methodologies. And that's where UX and research team comes in. We conduct usability tests, interview surveys, etc., to understand why behind the data. So the first part allows us to kind of understand what is going on and what problems may be, but then the second part actually truly helps us understand why. Like, why are people doing this? What are underlying reasons behind this data? Later on, when we collect enough data, this is like my favorite part. We go into ideation workshops. I love ideation workshops. This is when your product marketing, commercial team, everyone who needs to be involved come into one room. We look at the data we collected and try to come up with new solutions together. This is truly magical experience when you can see different people come with their different worldviews on the same problem and build on each other ideas to create something new, innovative, and something that kind of feasible in all regards. Yeah, I don't want to bore you more with the theory because there's a lot more to be said about user-centric design, but main idea of this presentation is to actually show you what we've done and the results we've achieved in our team in content formatting macros. Let's get into this. How do we get from pains to innovation? Before I show you that, there is a Confluence. A lot of people use Confluence as a knowledge base for, and you kind of like people store their ideas, findings there, a lot of important information, but just storing that information there is not enough. You store it there so that someone else can find it and action upon that information. And what our app primarily is supposed to do, and it does, is that it's helping with that content presentation so that you can translate your ideas into more visual, more structured ways so that other people can ingest your ideas much better. So if we throw all of the data that we've collected over years into, we can kind of like split it into big buckets. One is in the content formatting trend, there is a blank page fear, whereas kind of you start from a blank page and you think about structure of a page, and then you fill that structure with text, right? So there's this one. And the second one, I kind of want to get the floor to you, participants. Raise your hand or put some note in the chat if you jot down your ideas and thoughts first on a notepad, a piece of paper, Google Doc, before moving into Confluence. Do you guys do that at all? Yeah, some people? Okay. Nice. Me too. I think, and our research over time showed that a lot of people do this and they just create just walls of unstructured text, which is difficult to read and navigate for others. And because people have a lot of competing priorities and they need to move on to the next task, they just don't take the time and effort to make anything out of it. So a lot of important information sits still in our databases, in our Confluence, and this approach creates a lot of barriers to effective communication because important information ends up being overlooked in dense text blocks. So we thought Atlassian is already doing a lot of stuff to fix the first problem, as you can see on the screenshot, right? We can see that they're giving us templates. We also have templates in content formatting. There's a lot of effort to be done on that side. But I feel like the second part, we have found it's not yet tapped as much. So that's where we saw an opportunity. And we decided to help our users to go from a page like this, a dense page of text, to something that looks like this in minutes, not hours. That was previously kind of the time it took people to create engaging pages like this. And so basically, after identifying that trend, we looked into kind of things, what do we want to tackle with our solution? We identified the three key areas that prevent people from editing pages after creating the text. And this is tedious process of adding content to macros. I don't know if this GIF is working. No, the GIF is not working. Okay, so basically previously it was a little tedious to add content to macros. You needed to go from your page, copy paste your text, open macro editor, edit there, and repeat this many times until your macros are complete. So that was very tedious and created a lot of barriers to adoption of our macros. Macro discoverability is really hard because Atlassian obviously promotes their own macros first. So vendor macros are a little bit harder to discover. So typically users like find one and keep using the same one instead of choosing from like 13, 15 macros from our toolkit that may better suit their need in that specific moment. And lastly, a lot of people lack of design skill and inspiration, and it's just hard to create beautiful things if you don't have that skill. So we set ourselves to hit these 3 things with our solution. And that brings me to the reveal of the solution that we arrived at. It's called a Smart Designer. Smart Designer is a baby product inside of our content formatting macros for cloud product. And we think about it as a revolutionary and unique formatting experience. It helps people create outstanding pages easier and much faster than ever before with any other content formatting app. This is a truly new technology that no one has implemented before in Atlassian ecosystem. So let's watch before without me having to tell you all of these things. Let's watch the demo. I'll start a video and you let me know if you can hear the sound.
See what it does. Okay.
Yes, no, yes. Okay, great. Let's watch the demo.
That's pretty cool. That is so quick. Goodbye to the wall of text.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I think you're moving it.
You
There
can
you go.
improve the design of your content using the tools that already come with our app content formatting macros. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this page that I've been working on and just give it a go, see what it can do. So let's click this new button, Smart Designer, and then I need to highlight some copy and see what it comes up with. So click Smart Designing, and now let's just let it work its magic. Let's see what it does. Okay, that's pretty cool. So look what it's done for this really simple bit of copy. This is, yeah, okay, so this is pretty amazing. So this is advanced cards. There's interactive banner, that looks cool. Backgrounds, tabs. So normally all of these tools can be added to your page manually, but now with Smart Designer, it's gonna just do it all for you. So this is gonna save me so much time. I'm gonna, probably for this one, I'm gonna choose interactive banner. Yeah, and I can edit it. Brilliant. So I can just go straight in and change things like I don't need a button, lighten up the background a little bit. Okay, that is so quick. Okay, this is just amazing. This is actually going to save me so much time. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try it with this section. I can imagine this is actually getting quite addictive. So click Smart Designing, let it do some more magic, and then boom. Okay, that's so awesome. That's from just that one tiny bit of copy, or that section of copy. Yeah, I'm going to just stick with advanced cards for this one, and I like it so much. I'm just going to, for this time, I'm just going to replace the original text, but you don't have to do that like I did the last time. I just added it to the page without replacing that original text that I highlighted. So it's already looking so much better, and it's taking me like 2 seconds. So let's do another one. For this one, I just want to highlight this section a little bit. So I think background might be right. So again, let it do its thing. Go down, click background, and then brilliant, amazing. That section is going to really stand out now. Going to replace the text. Brilliant. That's already sitting on my page. It's just so quick. Now I'm going to try one more section. I could do this all day. So let's just do one more for this video. So I'm going to do advanced expand, I think, just for this little section here. Okay, and then brilliant, done. Okay, so let's save Smart Designer and then update the page itself. And then I'm going to see how it's turned out. Okay, that's so much better. My page looks so much better. It saved me so much time. Goodbye to the wall of text. This is going to be a game changer for me. Amazing work, team. I'm really excited to make this part of the way that I use Confluence now. You can add a bit of magic to your pages like I have in no time at all. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Jack. That is Jack. He helped us to create this beautiful demo. Yeah, I hope the tool speaks for itself. There's not much for us.
See what it does.
There's not much for me to add to this. I can't help smiling. I'm like, oh, the baby came to life. And the beauty of this tool is that it transforms macro interactions completely. And instead of how people used to do it before, finding the macro, building it from scratch, doing all of this back and forth and not being able to quickly switch between one or another, this new tool completely shifts how we can add beautiful visualizations to the page with no prior knowledge of any macros or anything. And it actually feeds how people conduct their workflows on Confluence, because we did all of that research and truly try to understand how people work on Confluence. And lastly, if you're wondering why it's called Smart, it's because we use AI to help to analyze the content that people put on the page, so to make more relevant visualization suggestions. And but we're planning to do kind of an AI and no AI option in the future, because we know there are obviously still questions about the use of AI for some people. So that's coming. So to finish off this presentation, I have kind of two CTAs for you. First, now it's your turn to break the walls of text. Download the free version of content formatting macros for Confluence Cloud to get smart designer powers on your Confluence. And second, don't be a stranger. If you want to learn more about how to implement design-centric approach in your team's work, find me on LinkedIn and let's have a chat. That's it. If you have any questions, I'm open to answer them.
Yeah, we are going to do an AMA panel later, so please, again, add your questions to our Slido and we will share those during our AMA session as well. So, thank you, Anya. And I just also am going to go ahead and we do have a little quiz. So take a moment and join the quiz. And then
Just giving people another moment or so. We've got one question after each presentation, and then another 10 sort of general knowledge that will determine the winners for this event.
What does DQ stand for?
Disqualified if you're a leader or somebody who's not entitled to win a prize.
yes.
It's not Dairy Queen. All right.
All right, we are currently up to 26. Do we want to give everyone else one more moment there, Brendan, or shall I go ahead?
I'd say we've got a few more presentations to get to, so let's get going. You can always join. One question doesn't necessarily eliminate you or whatnot. So, all right. First question. What is not a benefit of Smart Designer? Design and inspiration, instant page preview, editing, time savings, and changing page status. So get your answers in quickly. Time is used as the tiebreaker. 5 seconds.
All right. So it looks like the majority of people here say is changing page status.
And they are right.
Awesome.
Congratulations to everybody there. So I think we're on to our next presentation.
Great. All right. Just 1 second here.
Daniel.
Okay. Yes, so we will be handing it over to Daniel from Rewind, who is also our Ottawa community leader, and he is going to go through how easy it is to work with Atlassian Forge. Over to you, Dan.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. What is it asking me for? I'll say yes to that. All right. So how easy is Atlassian Forge? Let me get my speaker notes up here. Perfect. Yeah, so how easy is Atlassian Forge? I think everyone here has heard a lot about it since its announcement, but just before I start, my name is Daniel. As you noticed in the first slideshow of the Atlassian leaders across Canada, I'm all alone in Ottawa. If you know anyone who wants to join, tell them to reach out. Would love to have some collaboration there, but onwards. And yeah, before I kind of get into it, this talk is very subjective. It was kind of my take on what it was like throughout the process of developing a Forge app. So if something that you disagree with that I say, something that you noticed that I didn't bring up, throw it in the Q&A because it'd be awesome to talk about if you have a different perspective. So moving on, what our agenda is today. So what is an Atlassian Forge app? What the advantages are, the differences between Forge and Connect apps, and then of course the title of the talk, how easy it is. We're actually going to do like a semi-live coding demo of a quick Atlassian Forge app and see how fast we can get some functionality up and running. So what they are, obviously it's an Atlassian app. Atlassian provides tons of functionality out of the box, but I'm sure everyone on this call has seen that every company uses Atlassian in a different way. No two companies use JSM in the same way, Confluence, whatever it may be. So they can't build for everybody. And that's why they open up their API for companies like some that are on the call to build apps to fill in some of that functionality. The advantage of Forge is you get tons out of the box. You don't have to manage things like infrastructure. You get tons of UI stuff out of the box. So a very unified view in terms of an admin panel, stuff like that. And the Forge CLI is extremely useful, which we'll actually go through a use case for as well. And the third point, which is serverless. So you're no longer managing any infrastructure. Talk to any developer that's had to create an AWS account, spin up servers, they forgot to turn it off, and now they're sitting with $50 bill at the end of the month. Atlassian fits the bill for any sort of proof of concept, prototyping, things like that. You just get to start so quick and start building functionality so fast. That is very, very convenient. Some of the advantages of a Forge app versus a Connect app is the speed of development. I kind of hinted at it, being serverless, things like that. You get OAuth implemented out of the box. Developers who have had to do that before know that it's very annoying. It's something that you don't want to have to think of. You kind of want to start with business logic. You want to start with features. And that's exactly what Forge allows you to do. You're not worried about settings, authentication. Everything comes provided out of the box using the CLI. Again, infrastructure, since it's serverless, you're not worried about an AWS account, an Azure account, a Google Cloud account. Create an app on the CLI, Atlassian hosts it for you. All you're doing is feature work. Very, very fun. The third point that Atlassian likes to talk about is security. Because Atlassian's managing the infrastructure, they make sure that everything's tied down security-wise. So they encrypt everything before they send it to you, which a lot of companies love to see that built for Atlassian or that cloud fortified check mark in the marketplace. That essentially is what you get using Forge. And to Forge or to Connect, so when you're starting to think of a new app and deciding what to do when it comes to what framework you want to use, I've highlighted two boxes that I think might be the most important, and I think one of them might already be out of date as of like yesterday, which is interesting. So the first one, which is the app languages. Forge is very tied to Node.js or JavaScript, essentially. So if you are a Python developer, JavaScript, Java, or maybe even a Ruby developer, Forge is going to be different. And you don't have a choice about that right now. You have to use Node.js. The second one was compatibility. When I first started making this slideshow, it was only compatible with Jira and Confluence. When I was running through it this morning, they actually had a Bitbucket option, which is new. So again, things are changing fast. I would expect the Bitbucket compatibility to be not 100%. We're getting there. But things to consider, if you're building a pure Bitbucket app, it might not be there yet. But as I mentioned, they're progressing pretty quickly. And yeah, really the question you kind of want to ask yourself is when to use Forge versus something like a Connect. Some questions to ask yourself is if you're new to the Atlassian apps world. So because Forge comes with a lot out of the box, you don't have to spend your time learning how the OAuth flow works, things like that. You really have to look at the API, the documentation, what your business case is, spin up a Forge app, and you start solving for that business case. And because of that, everything that comes pre-built for you, your turnaround time is so quick. You really don't spend a lot of time messing around with things that aren't the pure feature work of your app. And we're going to get into this a little bit throughout the coding session, but how they work, and the way I kind of approached it was three main steps or three main pillars to a Forge app is the manifest.json or .yaml. This file really tells Atlassian what your app is going to do. Now you have a lot of options. You could create like an admin panel, like any other app would. You can actually embed a button within the issue screen, which we're going to do. You tell Atlassian what your permissions are, what you're going to do with this app. Are you going to read data? Are you going to write data? So the manifest really describes to Atlassian what you're going to do. And when you deploy that app, Atlassian takes that manifest file and sets up your infrastructure according to that file. The second pillar is really around the UI. And because Atlassian provides the UI kit out of the box, all the coloring, the fonts, the sizing, things like that, all are unified and make sense within the Atlassian world. So you're not looking at, what hex value is Atlassian's blue. You don't worry about that because the button comes with the hex blue value out of the box. And the third pillar is events. So you can react to things that are happening within Atlassian, whether that's an issue status being updated, an issue being created, updated. If you are just reacting to events, a lot of that stuff comes pre-built. You can set your app to listen to different sort of events, like I mentioned, an issue create, and then trigger some sort of functionality that happens after that event. And yeah, like I tell most people during my day job, it's great if I talk about it. You'll get the most if I show you something. So that's what we're going to do now. Is I wasn't confident enough to do a live coding demo, but I did this morning in about 10 minutes and kind of compressed it down to about 4 minutes. So I'll just talk over what that looks like here. But the first step is really to just jump into the CLI and create an app. And it's really as simple as saying Forge create, and you can give the name of it. I should probably give you a quick idea of what we're going to build before we start. And that's going to be an undo button within the issue screen. So something that you can just click undo, and it's going to undo the previous change that you just made to the description. So very simple use case. I know things appear in the changelog or the history view, but let's pretend that copy pasting is too hard and you just want to click a button. So we're going to do that. And once I type Forge create, I get a choice of what kind of app I want to build. I'm going to pick the UI kit and I'm going to build it for Jira. And I'm going to build it for the Jira issue panel. And that's what's going to allow me to embed an undo button within the Jira issue screen. Once that gets created, we can jump into the manifest file. And this is exactly what I was mentioning before. This describes what your app is doing. And here I'm giving it a title, and I'm going to change the icon of my app to be the undo button. And I'm going to add 3 permissions to it so that I can read data and write data to my Jira issues. Once I've described to Atlassian what I'm going to do, I have to deploy that app to the Atlassian cloud. Technically, it's AWS behind the scenes, but when I push that to the cloud, Atlassian is going to look at my manifest file. And it's going to say, okay, I need 3 permissions here. There's my icon. It's an undo button. Perfect. It's going to build that. And once it's built, you'll get notified in the command line at the bottom, and it'll be ready to be installed. So there's 3 steps to actually working on the app: deployment, installation, and then tunneling. And we'll go through all 3 of those. So now the app is deployed. You can see the green check mark there. So now we can move to the installation. So I'll type Forge install. And because I'm logged in, I can select Jira. And all I have to do is jump into my Jira instance and just copy and paste the site URL back into the command line, paste it in, click enter. And then it's just going to confirm the scopes that I give on my manifest file. So now we know that my manifest file worked. I'll click yes, and now it's installing the app onto my Jira site in development mode. So very important, it's not in production. We're just really prototyping right now. But just to confirm that it worked, I'll refresh, and we can see that my undo button has now appeared in the UI, and I'll hover over it right now. And you can see there's the title of my undo button. So that's great. Structure is built, and now let's look at some logic. Now the logic I pre-built, so I didn't want to spend a lot of time fiddling around in code, but really what we're going to do is just read the description that it was previously from the history and paste it back in using a post request or a put request to act as the undo button. So we're just going to look at the most recent version and update it to be that the undo. Now you could go on and on about having a stack or different data structures to go back in time. But right now we're just going to kind of keep it to a small scope. And you notice there, I typed in Forge Tunnel, which is actually going to serve this index file live. So what it's going to do is it's going to listen for requests. So as I'm making changes to my file here, Forge is actually listening to it. And the functionality that I update here is going to get reacted to in the app live. So to test it out, I'll delete this description, say, oh no, I can't believe I did that. Click save. And then we will click on our undo button. And I want you to take a note here of how much time it takes. So I click the undo button and we're waiting a sec. And then it updates. This is one of the bad things about serverless is that it takes a little bit longer. So that's the only thing to note is that serverless, the nature of it, because it's not a server dedicated to you, there's a little bit of what's called a cold start before the reaction actually happens. But ultimately, you have to kind of pick and choose your time for when a Forge app is appropriate versus a Connect app. If you're time sensitive, things that have to happen fast, Forge may not be the answer, but you saw the speed at which we could move from creation to validation. Now I can give my team something like that and say, hey, is this an idea worth pursuing? Should I stop here? Did I take the right path? So on and so forth. So that's really the functionality that I want to show today. Really, the message was how fast can you get up and started with Forge? And as you could see, within less than what this was, about 10 minutes, we have a bit of a preview and some sort of functionality to go off. So that is everything.
All right. Thank you very much.
Very cool, Dan.
Yeah.
I think I want that undo functionality. If you could just ship that over to, or put it up in the cloud for you.
No kidding. We could use that in quite a few scenarios there. All right. So we got ourselves another lovely little quiz question coming up here for you. Okay.
All right, everybody got their phones and web pages ready. Let's go.
Right. There you go.
One of the main reasons someone would choose to develop a Forge app? They don't have big security concerns. They don't want to worry about infrastructure. They have heavy, complicated computational and storage requirements. There's 3 choices here.
All right. Let's
And yeah, well, that's a
Was that too easy? I should have made it harder.
We were paying attention. That's good, isn't it?
Maybe that's a good thing. You're right.
Yeah.
exactly. That is a good thing.
Exactly. What's a good thing?
All
All right.
right. So thank you again, Dan. And moving over, now we have Christopher with FastDoc, and he's going to go through keeping up with the pace and automating agile documentation using FastDoc. Welcome, Chris. I will go ahead and hand over to you.
All right, sorry, just give me a second here. I'm gonna just do a quick screen share. All right. Well, thank you very much. Super excited to be here. So my name is Christopher Castine. I head up product and customer success at FastDoc. And for the next few moments, I'll be kind of giving you a little bit of a tour. Before that, just a bit of content in terms of what we'll be looking at. I just want to spend a bit of time, discussing the problem space, some of the pain points that some of you might have experienced around documentation, how we think FastDoc can help. And from there, we'll take a look at some of the features that we're going to be that we're working on and going to be delivering later in the year, and wrap it up with a live demo. All right. Sorry, give me 1 second. Apologies. There we go. All right. So just in terms of like some of today's challenges, if I could just walk you through a scenario, I think this is something that we could probably all relate to. I think most people here work in either a Scrum or Agile environment. So you could imagine developing software, developing a feature, everything is going great in sprint, come to the end, everything's fine, passes QA, and we're ready to, basically ready to ship. And unfortunately, the documentation is just not ready. And in terms of documentation, it could be a number of things, right? You could have the requirements for user guides or release notes, help documentation, what have you. Depending on the industry, some are a little bit more, stronger requirements than others. I mean, if you think about finance or telecom, quite a bit of regulation in that space. So you're not really going to be able to ship things out the door without sufficient documentation. And at the end of the day, big or small, from my experience of a lot of people I speak to, it does cause release delays. So, one of the things that we're trying to focus on is, speeding that up. The other thing tangentially, kind of we have the cliff there and, things falling off the cliff. Tangentially, I mean, we are a documentation tool, but, a big part of it has to do with, transparency, being able to communicate not only outside of the organization, but also within the organization, and keeping stakeholders abreast of what is going on. So we'll talk a little bit about that also and how we can help in that space. All right, so some of the main advantages. So I think some of you have already taken a look at the product. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're looking to do is to automate documentation. Of course, we're doing this through the power of AI, and we are also leveraging information that is already in Jira. So that could be Jira tickets. It can also be other sources as well. This is a theme we're seeing a lot in industry. Sort of the more rich your content, the better job that we'll do it in terms of producing the documentations based on that content. We want to move towards like an automated and timely, I would say, solution, right? So in the case of having a ticket done or an epic done or a story done, we feel that's really the time when we'd like to get the documentation done as well. We see a lot of, in many cases, sort of documentation falling into a bit of a waterfall approach where it kind of falls almost out of a Scrum or Agile model and lags the rest of the team. Now, of course, it's never going to be like a sort of fully automated, perfect situation, but we're really shooting for an 80-20. We always think that there's going to be people involved, so kind of think of FastDoc as almost like a colleague helping you along, trying to speed things up and getting a good part of the work done. And also, as I mentioned, around the whole sort of stakeholder management, PMs, product managers do a lot of work communicating internally, pushing a lot of information to stakeholders that are outside of the team. It could be customer success, marketing, sales. All of these organizations need to know about the features that are going out the door, and ideally before they go out the door, actually, right? So this is also tangentially one of the things that we can help with in terms of transparency and collaboration outside of the larger Scrum team as well. So just in terms of an overview, so we saw a Forge demo, and of course we are based on Forge as well. So we're fully integrated within Jira. So that's going to bring easy onboarding. It's I think most of us here are very familiar with the look and feel of Jira, and I think you'll see in the demo that FastDoc slides in very nicely. Some of the things we're going to be working on that we are working on this year and will be delivered later in the year, hopefully. On the right there, you see the Confluence. So this is a Confluence integration, bidirectional. So one as a knowledge base, so pulling in information in an existing space to help provide more data for the documentation that you're creating. And also as a repository. So to be able to, once documents are created based on the epics or the stories you're working on, to be able to store those in a Confluence page. On the left, we also see the Slack. So sort of repeating myself, but around internal communication, we want to have some strong integrations there so people can, again, pretty much in real time know what's going on and have a lot of the information pushed to. All right, so with that, I am going to do a product demo. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. You guys can see my screen okay? All right. So what I have up here, to start, I would encourage all of you to go and try it. It's one thing to demonstrate the product. So I have up here an epic on patient health information management system, right? So kind of a generic example of how FastDoc can be used to create documentation. But I mean, that's nothing compared to actually seeing it in your own instance and running it on your own tickets. So I'd strongly encourage you to take a look and to reach out if you know after that. So as I was saying, what we have here, we have an Epic, which is the patient health information system. How FastDoc works is effectively picks up all of the information that is in the ticket. So in this case, I mean, we have a title, we have the body of the Epic here that contains information. I won't read through it, but as you can see, it provides some background of what we're trying to do here. It has a bunch of child issues, so each of these have some detail in terms of what, you know, contributing to this larger system. Consider these as different features, I guess you could say. And then when we get to FastDoc, you can see here we have our FastDoc. So I'm showing you the issue view, where FastDoc is embedded directly in the issue. We can see there's a bunch of documents that I've already created here, the different types of documents. I alluded to that earlier in the presentation as well, and we'll take a look at the different types of documents FastDoc can create. And you know, just some basic information in terms of when it was created, and of course we can copy text, delete, and stuff like that. So I'm going to click on the Create Document button, and we'll see here we got the Create Document modal. And we can choose our document type. So as I was mentioning, FastDoc does support many different types of documents. We don't want to specialize. We want to be able to provide for a very wide range of users. So in this case, I think what I'll do is I will do a help article. And there's also tone as well. So depending on, you know, sort of who the audience is, we may want to go a little bit more professional or a little bit on the stern side or more formality. In this case, I'll just choose a friendly tone. And finally, the goal. So the goal as well helps in the generation. I did a cut and paste to save a little bit of time here, but effectively, you know, I duplicated. Sorry about that. So effectively, just you know, help create a help article to explain to patients and others how to use the health system to manage their personal health information so that they can improve their overall health and quality of life, right? So just effectively what we're trying to get out of this document. And as you can see, we're going to create the document. And I'm actually going to continue this in the background. An epic of this size is around 40 seconds or so. And in the meantime, what I will do is I'll show you around FastDoc a little bit. So like all apps, you can access FastDoc under the apps menu. And if you click on FastDoc, you will be brought to the FastDoc page where you're greeted with a dashboard. We have our, you know, general information documents that have been generated, the types of documents you've created, the average time that it's taken you, the list of all of the documents you've created across the system. And again, this is really myself from a user perspective. Another interesting point, so I created a document from within the epic, but of course you're not always creating from a story or from an epic. So you can create documents in a number of ways. You can actually choose, so we have an issue picker where you can choose many issues. You could use your filter, so if you have a Jira filter, you could pick it up based on the filter. So if you want to cherry pick certain types of, let's say, user stories and bugs, or if you're using releases. So if you have a release and you're using the release to group together a family of tickets, then we can use this as well. So continuing along, we have documents. So again, just a bit more functionality in terms of the documents that I've created. We could obviously search, I mean, depending on how many documents you have, we have search functionality, filtering functionality, just to be able to help manage your documents. There's a resource as well. So this I'm not going to demo just because of the time constraints, but effectively we can import resources. So I was sort of mentioning earlier in the presentation about having a bidirectional Confluence integration. So this is the first step in that, being able to bring in reference materials. So to help the AI generate, so if we're talking about a health management system and we want to generate documents about that, probably we're working for a company that works in that space. So you could bring in web pages and you can bring in supporting documents that can be used as background information. And last but not least, we have settings. So, you know, this is sort of more of an admin type page where I would expect this to grow in time based on the functionality that we will be releasing. Just company profile, so some info on the company. and our latest feature, which was reminders. So this is, I would say, kind of the first step in our automation journey. So based on, it's sort of alluded to in the Forge presentation, but based on the sort of the status of the ticket. So if you have an epic or a user story that goes to the closed or done state, then that will trigger a reminder from FastDoc to say, hey, this has been closed and it's a good time to go and create your documentation. Like I was saying, this is sort of the first step. I think as we move forward, we'll have some options here to automatically create documents. That's sort of our vision. You know, if an epic or user story is done based on some controls or some constraints, just automatically create that document and, you know, make it available on Slack for folks to view. All right, so back to my ticket, and I'm not sure if you noticed, but it went from to the ready state. So we're kind of operating in the background, and now the article that I just created is ready to view. And I'm going to just open it up, and we'll take a quick look at some of the output that it has created. All right, so as I was mentioning, so here we go, managing your personal health information, a step-by-step guide. Again, as a reminder, it's used a friendly tone and it is creating a help article based on the ticket Scrum 12, so the Epic Scrum 12. And here we could see it produce an introduction, a detailed explanation, again, all based on the information that was in the ticket. The tickets themselves were fairly lean. So obviously the more rich, you know, we're kind of assuming that folks are following best practices from a product management or from a Scrum perspective, right? So for sure, if you have sort of what I like to call like tumbleweed tickets, right? So a ticket with a title and pretty much nothing else in it, it's going to have some challenges. But if you have sort of typically well-groomed tickets, good commentary, good description, it will be able to produce some high quality output for you. So based on the ticket, the epic, and the children involved, you can see that it's done a summary, right, in terms of accessing the history, the data integration, the scheduling feature, how to upload the health documents, talks about the dashboard. So again, fairly concise based on the article that I chose. User guide would go a little bit more in detail in terms of creating the different steps to do these. So that's it. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the presentation. And like I was saying, I think by all means, if you can, you can find this course on the marketplace. Try it out in your instance. Certainly nothing compares to actually having seen the magic, I would say, on your own tickets. And of course, I'm always around. You could come find me on LinkedIn if you have any additional questions or need any support. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. One moment here. All right. No, thank you very much. And now to move along, we have a lovely little quiz as well for you guys. I
Good to
think
see the more people joining as we go along. So that's
exactly. Yes, I am seeing that as well. So, all right,
all right.
go ahead.
What are FastDoc's key advantages? Reduces manual documentation effort, reduces software release delays, improves transparency and stakeholder alignment. Documentation helps reduce software release delays, contributes in training public AI models, and a couple other answers that I'm going to run out of time to. But hopefully got an answer in there.
And in there we have, so majority of people think it's for stakeholder. The first option here of reducing manual documentation effort, help reducing software release delays, improves transparency and stakeholder alignment. And you would be correct.
Well done.
Well done. All right. So we want to take a quick moment to thank all of our wonderful speakers today. Thank you for joining us and sharing what you have for your with your apps and with how to use Forge. So we greatly appreciate it. And then before we get into our AMA, it is time to take a photo. Now, we do ask that everybody turns on their camera for this. I will stop the screen share so that we can get a lovely, beautiful photo of everybody here as well. When we are ready,
Say cheese.
say cheese, everyone. Just So one of the reasons that we asked for these photos is also that the Atlassian community team over at Atlassian loves to see everyone's smiling faces when we have these events. And it's always great to show everyone over there all of the smiling people we have. All right, I think we're good to say cheese now at this point. Uh, all right. Do we have... All right, we got a couple of group photos here.
It's great to see your faces.
It is. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate this. All right. I will go ahead and okay, and then what I will do is I will go ahead and change our view to immersive. We have this lovely view here. So we will start manually. Christopher, Ariel.
This is very technical.
Yes, so we are just getting started with the AMA route as well.
So Dan, Anya, and Chris, you are going to be on the spot for questions.
Yes, you will. All right. So
Oh, cool.
doing that, and then we are also sharing that. Oh, apologies. Oh, there we go. Okay, so great. It is working. So just one moment here, and I will go back to.
And so if you haven't posted your questions yet, feel free to do so. You should see a Q&A tab on the Slido deck. And
There you go. So this is, so again, this is our AMA slide here. And oh, okay. So here we go.
all right. So for the first question, also want to call out that there are like buttons. So if there are other questions that you are interested at, feel free to like it and we can tackle that earlier. All right. First questions from Brendan. Does Smart Designer use my content for training its AI model? So that question should be for Anya.
Yeah, hi Brendan. So currently we send API calls to OpenAI with whatever people highlight. So we are not processing it internally, but it's processed through OpenAI. So whatever OpenAI's policy is, that's what it's adhering to currently. I hope this answers the question. And if it doesn't, I would need to involve some of the engineers to give you a better answer.
No, that's good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Anya. Like if others have follow-up questions, just type it at the Slido deck. Next question. Can the content formatting macro app serve as a website designer for public-facing websites?
What do you mean by public-facing websites?
Unfortunately, the question is sent by anonymous, but if someone would like to elaborate, feel free to go ahead. So I'm guessing that I actually have no clue.
What was that question again?
It's
It's
for
the second
Dan.
one now. Can the content formatting macro serve as a website designer for public-facing websites?
Yeah, so there are some use cases where I know that you have a wiki documentation website. So you know how Atlassian has their wiki online as a website? Would you be able to use a space that is public facing to the general public and not just internal? Um,
I want to say yes, because if it works, if it's the same base of Confluence at the like at the back of it, then it should be, because it's available on Confluence. I guess I will answer one of the other questions right away. It's on Confluence Cloud and Data Center. It's different apps, but they are available on both. So as long as that underlying platform is Confluence, it should work. But if you're trying to use it instead of like a Wix platform or on top of Notion or something like that, then no.
All right. Thank you, Anya. Next question. What level of engineering or software development background is required to use Forge? I'd assume that's for Dan.
Yeah, I can answer that one. You definitely need some programming experience, but the good news is you don't need any sort of cloud or sort of infrastructure experience. Um, if you're coming from it as a completely new to programming, Forge is a great place to start because of that reason. You can focus on learning JavaScript while building something useful. Um, so in that case, I would suggest starting with something like Forge because you're not just building like a little calculator that you will never use again. It's something that you could use day to day. If you have like a little problem that you're solving for yourself that you use as an admin, solve that problem for yourself. You'll learn JavaScript. You'll learn how to make API calls. And ChatGPT is a really fun friend when it comes to programming. Do not trust it blindly, but it's a very good place to start.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so I think that one on top is already answered too. Next one. So if you already have the content formatting macro app, will this be there now? So I guess the functionality that you showed earlier.
Yeah, it's live. If you have the app, there is two entry points. You can either access it from like any page on top when the page is published. It's that icon with a magic wand. Or if you're editing a page, you can also access it the same way you access macros today by / and just typing Smart Designer. So it's live for all of our cloud customers. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Next question. How quick is a turnaround from Atlassian when you submit your Forge code to cloud? Are there any scenarios where that's rejected?
Yeah. Christopher probably has real world experience of submitting a Forge app. I can talk a little bit about my experience. So the good news is when you're in development, there is no turnaround. You saw that as soon as I clicked install, it appeared into my app. Now that was because I was in development mode. When you're ready for production and you want to list on the marketplace, Atlassian will take a look at your functionality, what you're doing, and I'll send this here. You have to abide by their terms of use. If you breach those throughout the application process or while you're a marketplace partner, they will disable your app. So you got to make sure that you play within the game, that the rules that they set. Now the turnaround time could be days, could be weeks. So that I might have to default to someone who's actually gone through the full process of applying for like a production app.
Okay. All right, so next question. Can we create custom templates for FastDoc to use in creating documents for Christopher?
So yeah, so that's a great question that it looks like I'm slouching here in this chair, but I'm not. So that's a great question we get asked all the time. So FastTalk is a pretty new product. I mean, we've been out for a little bit of time in the marketplace, and we are continuing to evolve. So the short answer is no, but the long answer is yes. So it's actually a feature that we are it's currently in development, and it will be released kind of next on the list actually. So for those of you who are interested, by all means, I mean, we're always looking to get early adopters and feedback from the marketplace. So yes, it is something that we are working on now. We have our designs and coding is actually well underway. But if it's something that you're interested in, or we'd love to get some of your feedback on the feature.
Awesome. Thank you, Christopher. Next we have, where does Smart Designer get their library of images from? Anya.
Currently, we're using Pexels image library. It's similar to Unsplash, same idea, but Pexels. But in the future, we are planning to create more like brand features that you can, as a company, you can upload your brand images and it will draw from your brand images, brand icons, colors, etc., etc. So as an MVP, it's using a library, but eventually we want to add some brand assets to it.
Cool. Next question. Does FastDoc use any of your documentation for public AI learning?
No, we do not. So that is also a question we get asked quite a bit, and for obvious reasons, we would never do that, right? And most of the documentation created, is sensitive and is proprietary. So no, nothing is used in terms of AI training. And I would just say take a look at fastdoc.io, our website. There's actually quite a bit of detail on security and privacy that's detailed there. So for those of you who are interested, I would just say take a look, and you'll find lots of details there on this topic.
Okay, awesome. So next we have a question from Stavros. To Daniel or Christopher, can you talk about a technical limit or frustration you have hit with Forge? So he mentioned that he's building a Confluence apps with Forge. An example that they found is a UI kit is too limiting, or the kit is like they had to remake their app numbered by easy apps in custom UI.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak too much, but I mean that's a common feedback that I get. I mean, Forge is fairly new, so I mean it is evolving, and I would suspect that the UI kit would evolve as well. I mean, that's the one I've heard, and I guess from a product management perspective, I mean, we work pretty closely with design. So there are things there. I don't think we've been particularly blocked on anything at this point. But that's sort of the comments that I would have in that space.
Anything to add, Dan?
I saw Mike chimed in that he had something which is lack of support for internationalization. So that's, I guess, different language supports, maybe right to left text. Yeah, no, I think that covers it. But the one thing about it being new and working with a company like Atlassian, they're very receptive to feedback. So if you have things that you want to see in the UI kit, tell them about it. You could contribute to building something that you'll eventually use. So they're very receptive in their forums. Talk to them about what you want to see.
Okay. Thank you, Mike, also for chiming in. So next question we have from David. So Atlassian previously indicated that Forge would be free until the end of 2024. So if it will be paid.
I just pasted something in the chat as well. They extended that until 2025. So you actually get to use it for an extra year. And it looks as though even if you go through like the marketplace, you'll be able to take about 95% of your gross revenue of sales made within the first year. So you get to keep a lot of the money while not paying for hosting.
Nice. Okay, so next question from Kim. Christopher, would all images, links, and attachments on an issue be included in the generated document?
So that's another great question. I mean, we get asked that one a lot. At this time, no. There are some challenges in that space. You can imagine if you had, a ticket with a dozen images attached, it could pose a challenge in terms of what do you do with those 12 different images and in what order and how are they relevant. So right now, I could see like that whole attachment space. I mean, maybe links and things like that. But at this time, we're focusing, like I was mentioning, on a few other features. In terms of the images and the attachments, it would be interesting to kind of understand like how folks would envision using that. But like I was saying, there can be some real technical limitations when you put it into to kind of real world application.
All right, and last question from Slido. Can we use FastDoc to generate FAQs?
Yeah, so I think I went through the documentation list. So when you do hit the create button, FAQs are on the list. So that is one of the document types that is supported by FastDoc.
Okay, amazing. All right, so last call. Anyone else have questions? If you would like to unmute or not. If not, like they've said, they have provided their LinkedIn profiles. So you can reach out to our speakers and talk more about any questions you may have. Thank you again so much for Anya, Christopher, and Daniel for being in the panel, answering the questions, and also thank you for the audience for attending this event. So next up, we have the quiz, the Canadian theme quiz. So
Just one moment here. I will fix our view. There we go. Thank you very much. Then we can go ahead over. So as we have mentioned before, for our quiz, there is a total of 13 questions. 3 you've already have answered to this point. As you've also experienced, this is a multiple choice answer. There are 30 seconds for every question to submit an answer, and the most correct responses win. Speed is used as a tiebreaker, and that is I believe
Top 3.
pardon? Yeah, it is the top 3. I apologize. That is a little typo. My bad. So all right, and Brennan, you have control of the screen now.
Okay.
Perfect.
you'll get a gift card, but don't use Google.
Okay, yes. I mean, you probably won't have enough time there. Okay, so we've got 32. So everybody ready? First question's coming up quickly here. Which province was the first to officially celebrate Thanksgiving in Canada? Is it Ontario, Nova Scotia, Quebec, or Prince Edward Island? I know a few people had to drop off, but may not have left the Slido there, but we got about 5 seconds. All right, let's see. Looks like most people think it's Nova Scotia, and it is. So congrats, everyone that got that one right. Next, which year did Thanksgiving become an official national holiday in Canada? Is it 1879, 1921, 1957, or 1979? Five seconds. Quite a wide variety of answers here. The correct one's 1879. What is Canada's largest island? Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, Baffin Island, or Vancouver Island?
I'm gonna try to put some music. You hear it?
Yeah, no, we should have the Jeopardy theme, but I imagine it would drive people crazy. All right.
That's still a work in progress. We are still improving these.
Yeah. All right. And most people have the correct answer, which is Baffin Island up in the Arctic Circle. How many liters of maple syrup does the average Canadian consume per year? Is it half a liter, 1 liter, 2 liters, or 3 liters? You can see our Slido also uses images from Pexels. So it's a popular image provider. All right. And half of the answers say 1 liter, and that is correct. It seems like an awful lot of maple syrup per person, but that's what the average is. All right, which of these words is a purely Canadian expression? Fiddlehead, toque, dépanneur, or all of the above? All right, 5 seconds. And the majority does recognize that each of those words are Canadian expressions there. All right. What region of Canada has less gravity than is typically found elsewhere on Earth? The Rocky Mountains, the Canadian Badlands, Hudson's Bay, or Newfoundland? This is a tricky one. I didn't know it until I ran across it.
And now, how much less gravity? You know?
Um, not so much that you're like jumping up and down like on the moon or something like that, but it's measurable apparently. And it is in fact Hudson's Bay, just something about the ice field that covers it and the large body of water, and it's mostly frozen, sort of warps things apparently. You look at a map there, it's like unique in terms of a region around the world there. Okay, in what year was Canadian Tire founded? 1899, 1922, 1946, or 1961? We got 3 more questions to go after this, and then we'll have our winner. So, all right. And most people have the correct answer, which is 1922. It celebrated its 100th year just 2 years ago. So. All right, before the late 18th century, which fish was commonly used as currency in Newfoundland and Labrador? Trout, cod, herring, or salmon? And I believe that fish that's on the image is neither of those, so it's not a hint.
That's like a grouper or something.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Ugly.
All right, 2 seconds. And it was cod that apparently was frequently used for bartering before actual cash money came into effect in Newfoundland. All right. And which Canadian city consumes an average of 188,000 7-Eleven Slurpee drinks per month, more than anywhere else on Earth? Is it Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, or Winnipeg? One of those things where if you know the answer, it's very easy. If you don't, it's best guess. But But the answer can be found officially on 7-Eleven's website, and it is in fact Winnipeg. So. And last question, what tasty treat was invented in Canada? Is it Clamato, ginger ale, Smarties, or peanut butter? All right. 5 seconds. Nope. So, of all of those, it's in fact peanut butter, which was invented here by a chemist in Montreal. All right, so that is everything. Let's see our leaderboard. Oh, the Jira Queen ran away with it, but she is sadly not eligible to win a prize. So of the top non-disqualified, I've got Ever, um, Kim D, and Andrew. So if we can, you can send me email, assuming those are all valid. If you can message me an email address that I can reach you at, that we can reach you at, just in the Slack channel there, we will get that prize sent out to you. So congratulations. So I've got Kim, Ever, and last one who's just placed 6 was Andrew. Or you could email my Atlassian community account.
Yeah. Oh, of
So,
course, I was definitely smiling at that. I mean, I couldn't
yeah.
resist.
Okay. Andrew? Andrew's the only one I'm waiting on. Yes, yeah, you just need to send me an email in the either direct chat and then I can send you a prize.
Yes, well done, everyone.
Well done, yes.
All right. While he's doing that, we will move on because we do have some upcoming events. So over the month of November and December, we currently have our Vancouver chapter is having an upscale event. I believe that is in person. And in November 7th, our Toronto chapter is having an Atlassian Loom related event. Also, I believe that is in person. Is that correct, Brendan and Susan?
Yep, ours is in person.
The Vancouver one is in person. It's not up posted yet, but it should be in the next few days.
Same with us. Ours is coming. Look for it. It will be in person.
Yeah. And also in December, Vancouver is doing a certification related coffee chat. Also, I believe that is in person.
That is virtual. So
That is virtual.
if you're not in Vancouver, you're still welcome to join us.
Yes. And I will indicate that we do have I believe, an Oshawa event that is coming up in the next 2 months as well, and a Winnipeg event that is coming up in the next 2 months as well before Christmas. So please also keep your eyes open for those. Those events don't have enough details finalized yet for us to share here on this slide.
So someone asked if the Toronto one is in person. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Susan was there. Awesome. Yeah, and just want to call out for those in the Metro Vancouver area, we have a new LinkedIn page, so please go ahead and follow so you can get updates there as well.
All right. And with that, Brendan, you have everything you need?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you everyone for coming again. I mean, in this case, Brendan has the contact details he needs, but normally we ask our prize winners or quiz winners to contact him with his email address, but it is there if you need it. So thank you everyone for coming. We greatly appreciate it. And we wish you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, and if you guys can fill out the post survey and have some comments, suggestions on how we can improve this event, please do so.
Yes.